Yes. So yesterday in our last class, we already discussed how what we cover in this course and how it will be. But please do not write anything. We'll share the document, entire document. Just sit. That's it. So keep on writing when I am teaching.
Karthik,
Then
your voice
you'll
is
concentrate.
your, your voice is not correctly audible.
So is
It
it
is
break?
yes, it is breaking in the middle.
Oh God.
No, sir, it's clear, sir.
Okay, if you have any problems, please ping in the chat. Okay, anybody? I think my network issue. Okay.
Yes, sir, it's clear,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, continue,
Yes.
Karthik.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. So please do not write anything. We will share the document. Just sit ideally and hand over your brain. That's it. We'll share that entire document, whatever the document, whatever the projects we are practicing here daily. That projects also I will share it via if needed GitHub via GitHub. I will share it. If needed, I will put it in a document and I will share it. No issues. Entire document we will share it. But please do not write anything. Just hand over and listen carefully what I'm trying to teach. That's it. Okay. Then, so in a last class, we already discussed what I am going to teach in a Spring Boot with microservices class. So Spring Boot with microservices. This is it. So I hope you are already all attended that one. So those who are missed that session, so they have. I'm just assuming they've gone through that video, right? So with that, we will discuss. We'll start the Spring Boot course today. So as I told, this is the Spring Boot course topics. Whatever the topics we are going to. Yes, you didn't complete the advanced Java. Can I attend? Yes, you can attend, sir. No issues. No issues. You can understand. No problem. But you must know the Java oops. Java oops. Yes, you understand it. No issues. No issues. You can. Then, then. So this is the course content of Spring Boot with microservices. As part of course content, the first one is evolution of Spring Boot from the Spring. Evolution of Spring Boot from the Spring. First, we need to know why Spring Boot has came into picture. So before Spring Boot, first we need to know why Spring is came into market. Why industry look for a Spring? So we have already advanced Java, JDBC, Servlet, JSPs. Then why uh, industry look for a Spring? So in that evolution of Spring Boot, like first we will try to know what is the need of Spring Boot. Then after we will develop a first we will develop a one Spring application, small Spring application we will develop it. So once we develop a small Spring application, then we will convert that Spring application into Spring Boot. Then there you will clearly understand what is the difference between Spring and Spring Boot. Then you will come to know how Spring Boot is easy, how much Spring Boot is easy. Just to write a annotations and doing it, you will feel very easy. So first, before we are going to another approach, we should know what are the drawbacks are there in our previous version and our previous framework or something, right? So that one we will discuss. Once we discuss the Spring versus Spring Boot, this is a very, very important interview question. What is the difference between Spring and Spring Boot? Then we will discuss about what are the advantages in a Spring Boot over a Spring and what is the latest version. Latest version you are already know Spring is the 6.x is the Spring latest version and 3.x is the Spring Boot latest version. Any interviewer asks in which version you are working, then you need to tell in my organization we are using Spring 2.x, but I know up to 3.x as well. I know Spring Boot 3.x as well. I know like that you need to tell because still most of the organizations are using 2.x only 2.8, 2.5.4 like that they are using it. But recently 3.x are upgraded. So like that. So Spring Boot supports Java 17. Sir. The latest version of Spring Boot, 3. Spring latest version is 3 point something, 3.x. It is supports the Java 17 and even support the Java 21 as well. Java. So after the Java 17, the long-term LTS support version is Java 21. It will definitely can support it. So now industry after the Java 11, industry is looking forward to adopt the Java 17, sir. So after a Java 8, so after a Java 8 was introduced in 2014. After the Java 8, they look for industry is looking for a long-term support version, that is Java 11. Then industry used Java 11 almost 3 to 5 years. Then now slowly big organizations are moving to Java 17. Even Spring and Spring Boot also both are supporting. So better to learn Java 17. There is no much differences. Don't worry. If needed, I will cover. Only almost 7 to 8 changes were there. That's it. But big version is Java 5. Sorry, Java 8. So in a Java, first big version is 1.0, 1.2, then after 1.5, then after 1.8, 1.7, then after 1.8. These are the bigger versions. So that, okay, so don't worry, it will support it. So as part of Spring Boot with microservices, first course content is this one: need of Spring Boot, Spring versus Spring Boot, then advantages. First of all, why we came to industry move to Spring framework first. So can't we develop a application with the technologies what we have it? So first, before that one, so what is core Java or J2SE? J2SE, Java Standard Edition. So we also call it as a core Java. What is core Java? So core Java, this and all is comes under programming languages. These are the programming languages. These are the programming languages. So as these are the programming languages, what it will have it is, the programming languages always gives the syntaxes, always sets the some rules, set of rules, it will set it. And it will give the some compilers, it will give some executors, all these things, it will, the programming languages will provide it. If any mistake, syntax mistake, if we are written now, then programming language compiler will be there. That compiler will give through the errors, compile time errors, it will throw it. If any runtime errors also we have written now, then programming language will throw the errors. We have again one more language as well, HTML. It is a hypertext markup language. This is not a programming language. Don't think HTML is a programming language. It is a markup language. There is a difference between the programming language and markup language. Markup is a just language which doesn't have any conditions. But in a programming language, we will have a conditions. So when coming to Java, so core Java J2SE is a programming language. This core Java naming convention is our Amirpet convention. It's not a global convention. Okay, so J2SE is the main global naming convention, Java Standard Edition. Then after Sun microsystem has currently Java is with the Oracle organization currently, but before that, very very almost 6 to 7 years, Oracle Java was maintained by Sun Microsystem. There is a company called Sun Microsystem company. They just maintained it. Then after Oracle has acquired that Java. So when Java is with the Sun Microsystem only, they have introduced J2EE, Java Enterprise Edition. When it comes to Java Enterprise Edition, we will call in our terminologies advanced Java. In advanced Java, again we will have some topics like JDBC, Java Database Connectivity, JDBC, Java Database Connectivity. Then we also have a servlets, Then we also have a JSP, Java Server Pages. So these are comes under technologies. This is a programming language. These are technologies. These are the technologies. Yes, using these technologies as well, Java technologies as well, we can develop a web applications. Yes, using a servlet JSP, we can develop a web application. Then JDBC can be used to connect the database. Earlier, in the olden days, the working style is like this. So this is a database. Let's say this is a database. Let's say this is a database. If you want to connect to the database from our application, so this is a Java application. So in a Java application, JDBC is used to connect to the database. To do any operation, insert, update, delete operation, we used to connect to the database. Sir, can you go on mute, please? Yes. If you have any doubts, yes, you can ping in the um, chat, and you can raise a hand at that moment itself. You can raise a hand. When you raise a hand, then I will stop and I will ask the doubt. Okay, I will try to clear your doubt. So this is a Java application. So at that, in the olden days, they used to connect a database using a JDBC, plain JDBC, Java database connectivity. Okay, using a JDBC, they used to connect to the database, and using a JSPs, Java Server Pages, they used to maintain view pages. So whatever you are able to see in a website, that is a view page, right? Let's say you are trying to access the ICICI Bank website. So whatever you are seeing in that website, so that entire thing is developed using a view page at that time. That is called view page. Whatever the end user is able to see. So that view pages, in the older days, we used to develop in a JSP, Java Server Pages, but still some of the companies are still using it. It's not like JSP is totally gone, but some of the companies are legacy, whatever the legacy applications are there, still they were using JSPs. And they are using, this is a JSP as a view layer. So they were using servlets to take the request and to send the response back to the view page. They, as a mediator, they used to use the servlets like that. JDBC is used to connect the database, and JSP as a view page, and servlet as a request request and response over take that one, like that. They used to do. In a simple terminology, sir, if you go any restaurant, first the menu card will be there. Menu card will be like a JSP, like a Java Server Pages, what you are able to see. Then be a one person who will take your orders or something, and who will give the menu to the uh, chef, and chef will bring the all whatever the ingredients he wants. He will bring it from, he will take it from the refrigerator, and he will make it, and again he will give it to the, he will make it, and again he will give it to the this person. So here the fridge is database, the refrigerator is like a database, and the person who took the order, and this is a servlet, and the person who is making it, and who is preparing it, like chef, is called as a JDBC. Simple terminology. This is all. This is a refrigerator is a database, and this is a JDBC. JDBC only will connect to the database and do some, extract some data and give it to the servlets component. Then servlet component again give it to the JSP, and JSP will render into the uh, response output in the browser, and everyone will able to see that. Earlier days we used to do this one. But again, industry has, and again industry tried to move from Spring MVC like that. Why? What is the disadvantages is JSP, whatever the JSP you are using it, that entire JSP is in XML tag based one. Tags. In a JSP, everything will be in tag based approach. So since if you want to become a Java, if you developer or if you want to develop any application in a Java, we need to know we need to have the XML knowledge as well. We need to have at that moment. XML, extension markup language. XML means extension markup language. So we need XML knowledge as well when we want to become a Java developer. Okay. Then in such cases, then some people are other third parties API people also thought, let's if we have any new system which will make this component is very easy, like that they thought. So extension markup language, this one. So the disadvantage is with the JSP is first disadvantage, it is a XML based technology. Then after JSP uses a Jasper container, which is a very heavyweight container. Then after JSP, if any issues in a JSP pages, that is becoming a very tough to debugging it and to find out any issue in the JSP page. Debugging everything become a problem. Okay. So these type of issues were still there in a JSP. Then they look for a alternative. When you go to the servlet, in a servlet as well, again we have a servlet container, Catalina container, and that Catalina container is also a bit heavy container. Catalina container is also heavy container. And if you want to create a servlet or Catalina container, we need to configure the web.xml. There is a file called web.xml. We need to configure it. The whatever the features there in a servlet is, that is great features. Servlet will take the traps and takes the request,
Karthik,
and
sorry,
servlet will.
sorry to interrupt. I think voice is tracking.
Yes.
Ask ask for the candidates once.
Sir, is it my voice is breaking for everyone?
Sir, everything is clear.
No, sir, clear, sir.
Okay. Like for one of the student, they got stuck, so they messaged me.
Yes. Sure. Yes. So the features whatever we have in a servlet, that is very efficient features we have it. Like servlet will have it has a capability to take the request, and it has a capability to give the response, and it also have a very life cycle methods. Great features are there, yes, but the issue is again we need a XML knowledge. If you want to work with the servlets, we need bit XML knowledge, we need it. Then again, containers is bit heavy, and it is as a modernized in a world, it is not supporting some of the features. That container is not supporting some of the features. Then if you take a JDBC as well, as I said in a demo, if you want to work with the JDBC, what we need to do, first we need to create a connection object. Before that, we need to load a class. We need to create a connection object between the database and application. Then after we need to establish, after establishing that connection, we need to execute that query, right? SQL query. To execute that SQL query, first we need to prepare one this statement. We need to prepare it. Prepared statement or any three types of statement will be there. So prepared statement, we need to prepare it. Then after we need to execute that statement. Then after we need to take that result in a result set, and From that result set, we need to extract whatever the data we need. So again, this is like if you are developing a let's say you have a bank application. In your bank application, you have a 10 services like personal loan, personal loan, gold loan, and something civil score check and deposit. Something these are they like this. You have a 10 services. So this 10 services is needs to connect to the database. In that situation, see this for the 10 times this connection for the 10 applications, we need to create a connection. We need to create a prepaid statement. We need to create a we need to execute it and take it to the result set. That means these 4 steps are common. That means 4 10 into 4 10 into 4, that means this 40 lines of code, every 40 lines of code is boilerplate code. That means duplicate code, dummy code. 40 lines of code is right or wrong, right or wrong. And also this jdbc is not providing, you know, best transaction management. It is not providing it. It's not providing it best transaction management. Then so all these issues made to move to from technologies to frameworks. This is a technology. Now these are 3 other technologies. Now all these things made industry to move to frameworks. That is, so when come to Java frameworks, Spring is a main Java framework, and then Spring Boot also from the Spring. Then Hibernate also one of the framework. Widely as of today, industry is using it. Industry is using it. So these frameworks, what is the advantage with these frameworks are? Sir, here for the 10 services, here you are writing 40 lines of dummy code. But but with the for the same 10 services, if you use a Spring or Spring Boot, you no need to write a, if you especially if you use a Spring Boot, you no need to write this. You no need to create a connection. You no need to create a prepared statement. No need to execute it. It only will take care of everything. It only will take care of it. Got my point? Sir, clear? It only will take care of it. For example, this frameworks is for in the general terminology, it's like a batter, sir. Dosa batter, what you will get it in a DMart. Just get it and prepare it. Uh, make a food and eat it. You no need to prepare anything. It's like that. That much work it will reduce it. So by seeing all these issues which are there in a technology, then a person called great man called Rod Johnson, a person called Rod Johnson, he just person called Rod Johnson, he just thought of to develop a framework. That is, he developed the Spring in 2003. He just started, just invented this at that time. So once anyhow, if any framework or anything comes in the starting days, it won't become a famous. But once the industry knows the advantages of Spring, then industry habituated to using Spring. So all the systems, whatever the applications they were developing from 2005, 2008 kind of thing, from there onwards, the Spring has become a popular. Then again in the Spring, some of the team found some issues. Then they moved to Spring Boot. What are the issues? You will come to know. What are the issues? You will come to know in the when we are applying a application. Got my point? Everyone, right? So this is the, so like that it has evaluated. It has evaluated from technologies to Spring. Sir, but now in this manner, is there anyone is developing the applications? Yes, they were developing. Still, some of the legacy applications are there in a JSP servlets and JDBC. Some of the legacy applications are there in a JDBC, uh, but very less. Even whatever the applications are there in a JDBC servlet JSpace, they are slowly migrating into the Spring Boot as maintenance cost is more, and even the resources who knows who just stick to the JDBC servlet and JSpace very less in the industry. Sir, if anyone doesn't want to work in a legacy technologies, right? Everyone wants to upgrade their skills and everyone wants to get the experience in a latest technologies and frameworks. So that's why it became a difficult to get the resources as well. Then slowly industry is moving to frameworks, but still I can say still applications are there, but very less. Okay. Then a person called Rod Johnson has developed the Spring framework, and he has given a definition to the Spring framework. Anyone asking, he's just giving a framework saying, hey, Spring is a open source. He's just telling it is an open source. It is an open source and it is a lightweight. It is an open source and it is a lightweight. It is a lightweight and loosely coupled and non-invasive and non-invasive, and he said the powerful term called dependency injection based java framework based java framework java framework which is used or which is best suitable for developing distributed applications, which is used to develop the distributed applications. Distributed applications mean bigger applications. So what is meant by, first my question is, what is meant by open source? You might have know open source means that Rod Johnson has developed this application and he just made open for everyone. It's a free of cost. You can see the Spring you can see the Spring code as well, how they have developed source code as well. You can see it, no problem. You can see the entire source code of Spring. You can go and you can just go to Spring Docs. Just go and search in a Google Spring Docs. Please habituate to learn any programming language using Docs instead of searching in a other websites. Best website is Docs only always. Spring. So if you want, you can see the source code as well. Whatever the source code you want, you can see the source code. IOC container, see introduction to the source code, everything you can see it. So that's what he said. This is a open source. So then how they will get a money, sir? Right? If they have struggled a lot to develop this one, then how they will get it? Yes, you can do a Spring certification as well. You can do a Spring certification, and some companies will support. They will contribute something. Okay, so this is a open source. Then what is meant by lightweight, sir? Lightweight. So why they call it as a first lightweight? Why they call it as a lightweight? Why they have called it as a lightweight is the Spring containers, whatever the containers has developed. So those containers are very lightweight containers. How can you say lightweight, sir? Sir, if you create a just object for one interface or one class, interface implementation class, then container will be created. There is a two containers like a application context container. There is a container called application context container in a Spring. Okay. and bean factory container. Bean factory container is there. These are two interfaces. If I just create an object for these two, then container is created. Don't think, sir, these are the interfaces. How you are creating an object? For interfaces, we cannot create an object. No, yes, we cannot create an object. If I am saying that creating an object to this interfaces, that means in the runtime, it will take a implementation class for these interfaces. Implementation class for these interfaces. That means, so there will be two containers. One is application context container and bean factory container. So if you create an object for this bean factories using like application context ctx is equals to application context ctx is equals to new class path application context is a implementation class application context. I'm just using a polymorphism concept here. Full stack students, please observe carefully. I'm just using a polymorphism. Parent reference, I'm just using a to create a class object, child class object. Parent reference, I'm using it. It's a concept of polymorphism, right? So this one. If you just create a object for this application context container, that means container is created. Container is created, it only will take care of it. It only will take care of it. And in a Spring Boot, you no need to create this container as well. In a Spring, we need to create it, but in a Spring Boot, we no need to create it. It only will take care of it. It only will take care of it. Where it only will take care of it, sir. How it only will take care of it. Go here, go here. This is the main method. From here, the execution always starts right when Spring has loaded, class has loaded. So it will go here. See, go here and just check here context. See, create application context. So container, you no need to create it. This this itself, Spring Boot itself, while loading the application, it only is creating it. You no need to do it. So this is very lightweight one. So if you just create an object, container is created. It's not like a servlet, Catalina and JSP Jasper server containers. Okay. And so these containers also have a very efficient lifecycle methods. Efficient lifecycle methods. These are the lifecycle methods. The methods which are annotated with the at the rate pre-destroy, and at the rate post contract with the lifecycle methods. It has a very efficient lifecycle methods. So that's why it is a lightweight. Then loosely coupled. Why it is loosely coupled, sir? Sir, Spring will not ask if you develop any application. Let's say I'm developing one application, ATM application. I'm just writing some business logic in a Spring. Spring will not ask any time to extend Spring specific classes or to implement Spring specific interfaces. It doesn't ask you. It doesn't demands you to implement this interface. Please implement this interface like that. Spring doesn't demands you. There is only, as I mentioned in a demo, there is only when we are working with the Spring Boot security, we need to extend web security configure adapter class. So whatever the class we want to provide a security for that class need to extend Spring security configure adapter class. But since this is making a class Spring as a invasive, this is making a Spring as a invasive, that means dependent. That's why they deprecated in a Spring 4.x. They deprecated, they removed. Don't want this kind of code like that. They deprecated it. So Spring doesn't demands any programmer anything to implement their own classes and their own interfaces and extends their own classes. It won't demand it. That's why this is loosely coupled. That means you can develop the whatever the logic, business logic you want to write in a ATM machine, you can develop by using simple core Java and JDBC, anything. You can develop it and you can develop it, no issues. Tomorrow, If you want this application to be shifted to the any other framework, today Spring Boot is there. Tomorrow one more framework came. Let's say you can easily shift. So that much loosely coupled it is. And non-invasive. So non-invasive also, that is the thing. Like it won't ask a developer to implement or extend specific interfaces and classes. That is why it is invasive, non-invasive, non-invasive. And dependency injection or dependency management based Java framework. So dependency injection means, let's say in a core Java, how you used to do? Class employee used to do, right? Right. So like this only we have did it. Full stack student, right? Private string ename we did it. Private string esal we did it. Something. Private address. Remember address, like this we have written. And we told yes, this address is a dependent class to the employee class. That means these two classes are in which relationship? Which
Has a
relationships are?
relationship. Has a
Yes, these
relationship.
two classes, exactly, sir. These two classes are in has a relationship. Has a relationship. So when these two classes are in has a relationship, how you can set this address class to the employee class? How you will set it? Using a setter methods. Using setter methods, you need to put it. Setter methods, you need to set it. Right? So that means it's a developer responsibility to set it. Manually he needs to set it. Manually he needs to hand over this address class object to the employee class object, right? Like first he needs to create an address class object, like address ad is equals to new address, like that he need to set it. Then he need to create an object. Then this address object he needs to hand over to the employee class object. Like let's create an employee class object. Sir, you are getting my point, what I'm trying to say. Employee, why it's taking, let's create employee class. Employee is equals to new employee. Okay. Then e dot set e address. E dot set e address. Then AD we need to hand over like this. Manually we need to hand over it. But in a Spring framework or Spring Boot framework, if you just use one small annotation on top of this class, on top of this address class, if you just use one small annotation called @auto void, then 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 you no need to create a object for a employee class. You no need to create a object for address class, and you no need to set manually also. You no need to do it. See, these three things as ours one is very small application, employee and address class. In this small application only three steps got reduced. Three steps got reduced. Three steps got reduced. Now think about the real-time application. Each bank in a real-time, each bank application will have around 600 to 700 classes. It will have it. Then to set if 600 to 700 classes, out of 600 to 700, if you have a 300 classes in a has a relationship, then how can you set it using when you will create objects, when you will set it using manually using a setter methods? It will be a problem, right? So that's why if you just mention this any class as a auto void, if you just make any class as a spring bean, I will tell you what is meant by spring bean. Spring only will take care of it. It only will inject the dependent class object to the target class object. Here target class object is employee. Here the dependent class is address. So injecting the dependent class object to the target class, Spring only will take care of it. Spring means Spring container only will take care of it. Spring container only will take care of it. So that's why this is very became a phase at this moment. At this point, it became a popular. So now tell me, Spring is a open source, lightweight, loosely coupled, non-invasive dependency management or dependency injection based Java framework, which is used to develop the distributed applications like that. You need to tell. So this much advantages are there over technologies when compared to Spring, when it comes to Spring. Okay, then this is a definition. Open source, lightweight, loosely coupled, this one. So when I'm just before, I just pointed out one term called Spring Bean. I just pointed out a term called Spring Bean. Spring Bean. So what is meant by Spring Bean? Sir, if I just write, you may get it out like, sir, if I just write at the rate auto-void annotation on top of dependent class, then directly it will, a container can create it. No, sir. No. Container will not create it directly. So you need to inform externally to the container, hey container, this is a Spring Bean. So this is a class. For this class, you need to create the object, and you need to, if you want to destroy the object also, you need to destroy it. If you want to create an object also, you need to create it. Like that, you need to externally tell to the container. That how can we do it? We will tell you. I will tell you. How can we tell to the container that this is a object? For this one, you need to create a object like that. So before that, some terminologies are there that you need to learn, sir. First, Java Bean. Can anyone tell what is meant by Java Bean? Yes. Java Bean is also a normal Java class only, sir. It's a normal Java class. It's also a normal Java class, but it follows some rules. Java Bean is also a normal Java class which has some extra features, or which is followed with some rules, right? Sir, what are all the rules, sir? What are all the rules? So what are all the suggestible rules? When we will call that class, normal Java class, as a Java Bean. If a normal class, if any class is public, if a class is a public class, class is public. When you are creating it, the class, it should be a public. Then, and to call that class is a Java Bean, that class, whatever the public class is there, right? That class should implement the serializable interface. So what is meant by serializable? So what interface is this one? What is the interface serializable? Serializable is a marker interface. Serializable is a marker interface, sir. I just want to touch this type of interview questions. Serializable is a marker interface. Marker interface means the interface which doesn't contain any methods is called as a marker interface. So the examples for a marker interface is, what are all those? Naresh or Karthik. So serializable and clonable are the marker interfaces in Java. So if any class is public and implementing the serializable interface, then we can call it as a Java Bean. Then also along with that, that class should contain the properties as a private and non-static. Always the class should contain private and non-static. Whatever the properties are there, like employee name, employee, see this here I have written like private. So that should be a private and non-static, not a static. Then it should contain a setter and getter methods. Setter and getter methods. Why Why a Java bean should contain a private properties and why it should contain a setter and getter methods is to achieve the concept of which concept? To achieve the security. To achieve a security in Java, we will use encapsulation. Java bean is the best example for encapsulation. So a Java bean should contain the setter and getter methods. Through the setter and getter methods only, we can access the whatever the data is there inside a encapsulated class, that is any Java bean class. Then directly or indirectly, it should contain a zero param constructor. Zero param constructor. You already knows if you don't write a zero param constructor, compiler will add it. You already knows it, this one. So when we have these properties, then that class is called as a Java bean. And Java bean, whatever the class Java bean class, that is best whatever it is follow, whatever the class is following this rules, that is called as a Java bean. And Java bean is the best example for encapsulation. Then this encapsulated class you can send over the network. You can send over the network, like Amazon can send a customer details. Customer details Amazon can send to the ICICI bank, no problem, using this one. It can send it, no problem. Over the network, can send it to ICICI to validate the whatever the card numbers CVV as given by end user to the Amazon. First, sir, whenever you are just enter the card number, CVV, anything, your details. So Amazon will send that details to validate to the ICICI, right? So encapsulated class only, they'll generally will send the data, um, send over the network. This is a total network. So over the network, they will send encapsulated class only. Getting my point? So best example for, sir, this is a very important question, interview point of view. What is meant by encapsulation, and give the best example for encapsulation. Encapsulation. So in a real time, they will ask, says, yes, you are a working guy, right? So where you have used the encapsulation concept in your real time use cases? Then you need to tell, yes, I have used Java Bean. I have used model classes as a Java Bean in my project. That is comes under encapsulation only, like that you need to tell, right? So this is a, sorry, my screen got stopped suddenly. Yes, you're able to see my screen, right, everyone? Sorry, you're able to see my screen.
No. No, sir. No, sir.
Oh, you're not able to see my screen.
Yeah, yes, Karthik.
Let me stop and let me reshare again.
No, sir.
Yes, I'm again. Now, sir. Now
No,
is that
sir.
okay?
No, sir.
Oh my God, what happens, man? Oh my God, what happened? Still, Karthik still?
No, sir.
Prayer. Now I am sharing it. Why it is? Internet also got from. Yes. Okay, so this is the one. So Java Bean is the best example for encapsulation. So interview point of view, very important, this one. Now next term is Pojo classes. So generally in a real time, whenever you are working in the Pojo classes, you need to say what is meant by Pojo. You may ask, someone may ask what is meant by Pojo. So plain object, plain Java object. Cannot see your screen. Why I don't know. Let me reconnect to the Anudeep, is it visible now? But still same issue. Can you please confirm?
Yes, sir. Now it's
Now
fine.
it is okay.
Yes. So now what is meant by Pojo? So generally Pojo classes we'll call it. What is meant by Pojo? Pojo. So Pojo classes is like a same like a Java beans only, but when we can call the class as a Pojo class is if a class does not extend, if any Java class, if any Java class does not extends or does not implement the framework specific classes and interfaces. Framework specific. I'm not talking about technology specific. I'm not talking about Java specific. Yes, that Pojo class can implement the programming language interfaces. It can implement the technology, but if that Pojo class should not extend or should not implement any framework specific interfaces, then in that case that classes is called as a Pojo classes. Pojo classes. Let's say if I write public class, public class employee extend implements public class implements. If I write like this, application context. So this application context is a interface present in a org.springframework.something. So now is this a Pojo class means? No, a Pojo class. It's not a Pojo class. This employee class is not a Pojo class. Obviously the E will be capital here. So this class is not a Pojo class because it is implementing the framework specific interface. Framework specific interface. No, please try to know the difference. At this moment only, please learn it, sir, because after going into the in-depth Spring or Spring Boot, you will not have a time to recall what is meant by Pojo as well. So please learn at this moment at the right time only. So public class, if I just write a student implements clonable interface. Clonable interface. Let's say clonable interface. So is clonable interface is a core Java interface or framework specific interface? So this interface, clonable interface is a what interface? It's a marker interface are present in which package? Present in java.lang package. So whenever you are doing a cloning of any objects, like using a shallow cloning or deep cloning, you must implement the clonable interface. Otherwise, you will get a clone not supported exception. Okay. So now tell me, is this a student is a Pojo class? Yes. The student is a Pojo class. Why? Because it is implementing the core Java interface. That's it. Okay. You got the difference between the Java bean and Pojo class? Got my point? So please respond. Should be a
Yes,
interaction.
sir. Yes.
Yes. Now, what is meant by Spring Bean? Just before this Java Bean and Pojo classes, I just mentioned Spring Bean. What is meant by Spring Bean? Now, Spring Bean means Spring Bean is a normal Java, is also a normal Java class, is also a normal Java class only. Normal Java class only, but whose object is created and destroyed by container. Whose object is created, destroyed, and are maintained by container. then we will call that class as a Spring Bean. We will call that class as a Spring Bean. Spring Bean is a normal Java class only whose object is created, destroyed, or you can say maintaining it. From life cycle, from birth to death, who is maintaining that object for that any class. So that is called as a, by container is called as a Spring Bean class. It is also a normal Java class. It's not a any super class or something, anything. It is also a normal Java class. So, sir, then how to make a normal Java class as a Spring Bean is a question. How to make a normal Java? See, to make a normal class as a Java Bean, we have followed these conditions. To make a normal Java class as a Post class, followed these conditions. To make a, how to make a normal Java class as a Spring Bean? Yes. So in a Spring, to make a normal Java class as a Spring Bean, you can use, you need to mention the normal Java class in a one application file, sorry, in a XML file that is generally called as a application context application context.xml file. Context.xml file. So in this file, generally in this file, you need to mention the class name. Let's say you are trying to make a employee class as a Spring Bean. Then this employee class along with the package details, you need to mention it to the, you need to mention in the application context.xml file. In the XML file, we need to mention it. In a Spring, I'm talking about, not in a Spring Boot. If you mention this employee class as a Spring Bean, to make Spring Bean in the application context.xml, and if you hand over this application context.xml to the container, to the application context container or to Bean Factory container, if you hand over that XML to this application context container, then container will read the whatever the classes are present inside a application context.xml. Let's say in this file you have mentioned two classes. For example, I'm mentioning two classes, employee class and address class. You have mentioned in a application context.xml file. So then when you run the application, this container, so container will read the classes from the application context file, and it only creates the object and it only destroy the object. It only will take care of injections as well. It only will take care of injections. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to set manually. You don't need to do anything. All you need is you need to mention to container saying, hey container, these are the Spring Beans. You can take and you can create an object. You can destroy an object whenever you want. After the application got run, stopped, you can destroy it. And whenever a target class is needed, the dependent class, inject that dependent class to the target class. Everything will take care by container only. All we need is we need to make any normal class as a Spring Bean class. Going forward, I always calls the class as a Spring Bean like that. By the end of this course, you will hear the Spring Bean only. Always you will hear the Spring Bean. So I'm repeating what is meant by Spring Bean. Spring Bean is also a normal Java class whose object is created and managed by a container is called as a Spring Bean. Then, sir, here new term came. What is meant by container first of all? Nothing, sir. Which it is a software. It is just a software. Which can manage the life cycle, which can manage the life cycle of a life cycle from birth to death. It only will manage it, sir. From birth to death, it only will manage it. It is a software which can manage the cycle of a objects or Java objects, you can tell. It only will create it. It only will destroy it. Container. Okay. Okay, sir. Then how to make a normal Java class as a Spring Bean, sir? That means in a Spring. I'm talking about in a Spring, not in a Spring Boot. In a Spring Boot, you no need to. In a Spring Boot, you no need to use this XML file. All these things, all are gone. Only one annotation is enough. But in a Spring Bean, how to make a normal class as a Spring Bean is using, you need to mention in a application context.xml. This is XML based approach. But later in a Spring itself, they came up with the annotations as well. That is at the rate auto-wide annotation, same annotation we are using in a Spring Boot as well. But as of now, just think about the XML format. In the XML, you need to mention it. Like let me show you application how it looks like. Application context.xml file in Spring Docs. Yes. Sorry, here itself. XML schema. See, this is one. This is a one. Take it from the docs portal only, docs.io to spring.io. So this is the one. Example one, if you want to see, this is the one. This is a schema. So this is a XML schema, and see, root to tag is beans. Spring beans. That means whatever you have mentioned in this Spring application context.file, so all become a Spring beans. See here, they have made a connection object as a transact connection as a java.sql connection as a Spring Bean. They can make it like this. They can make it. See, bean ID, they are giving some unique ID. Bean ID means unique ID. You will come to know, no issues. Unique ID, and the class is, what is the class name? Along with the fully qualified name, they have mentioned it. See here, field retrieve factory bean. This is the class they have made it as a Spring Bean. Sir, Spring Bean can be either it can be a predefined class, either it can be a user defined class. No problem in that. Clear my point? So this is the, so like this you can mention it. Like this you can mention it. I think it is there in our document as well somewhere. Where is the document? Let's go here. The document as well, it is there. Oh, here it is open now. See here, yeah, so I just added here sample one also. Here I'm just trying to make, see here, date class which is there in the java.util package. I'm just trying to take a date class as a Spring Bean. If I make a Spring Bean for a date class, if I make a Spring Bean, then that only will take care of it. Who will take care of it? Creating object, who will take care of it? Container only will take care of it. You see here, I just written one class called hello world class I have written. So hello world class, I just make it as a Spring Bean. Then container only will be created object. Container only will take care of everything. Sir, we can prove also whether the container is really creating using a hash code as well. You can create it like this. We can see it, and we can start small example as well. In a Spring, we can start a small example to do it. Okay, let's stop here. Sir, anyone having any doubt?